And we're back with TSPN. I'm here with John Stetler, and I are having a good time talking about things. So,
morning.
How are you doing today?
We're doing good, thank you.
All right. Now, John, you are working with ATCA. You are an employee of ATCA, I guess, right? Or is it all volunteer?
No, I'm an employee. The CASA program is all volunteer.
Okay.
But we do have a small staff to help do all the training and recruitment and coordination and all the legwork.
All right. And part of that coordination is with children in the courts. And you're here today to talk about specifically about the new waiting room for children.
Exactly. The court and the attorneys, everybody has long realized that for families who are in crisis and are in court with their children on family issues, that the hallway is not a warm, comfortable, calming place to sit and wait. Mm-hmm. And when you're anxious and when you're concerned about what's going on, it doesn't help to have your anxiety raised just because there's a lot of traffic and noise. And
nervous, anxious, upset.
You try to talk to your attorney and you can't hear him because the noise is. It just isn't a place that isn't conducive to making the court process work smoothly.
Now, these are cases where the children, they're child custody cases basically, or more than that?
It's the dependency cases, the child abuse and neglect cases, and also the delinquency cases.
And
the juvenile court.
And we're talking about kids that are anywhere from 0 to 18 to 17 years old.
Yeah, little to 18. But particularly the smaller children. Mm-hmm. The older kids, they can maintain a little bit better. But when you got the little kids, they need to move around. They need to do something. Mm-hmm. Sitting quietly in a place that's not quiet is real tough for them. Mm-hmm. So everybody wanted to see if there was a way to do a better environment for those families to sit and wait with those children. Mm-hmm. And the court asked the CASA program if we could help think that through. And we did help them think it through. We helped make it happen. And they let us have a back piece of the jury room. And we outfitted it with new furniture and toys and a TV so we can show child-friendly video while they're waiting. And we are excited to announce that between the cooperation of the court and the CASA program, that resource is ready now to better serve the citizens of this county.
Well, when did all that come about? Just this year?
They've been talking about it for some time. It's been a back burner thought for several years, actually. When they built the courthouse, they realized that there were some things that, if things had been nicer, they would have had available to them. Mm. So they said, how can we squeeze this in? Mm. And it just became a concern recently. We really need to think about this, and thankfully we were able to help them do that.
Now, I think that's in large part due to the judges we have, Judge Harlan and Judge Hermanson. I think they realize what kids are going through, but the dependency cases are not the one that most judges want because they're really gut-wrenching, aren't they?
They're very, very difficult. Those cases, if you really have your heart in helping people, if you're there to serve, it is a very, very difficult environment, and we are blessed by the judges that we have. I've been in a number of jurisdictions around the country in my previous occupations, and I have some sense of comparison. And the bench we have here is just wonderful. Mm-hmm. So they have been talking about it, and they just was a lot of things they needed to do, but finally this one bubbled to the top. And within the last 6 months, we've been able to put all the pieces together, and through grants and donations, we've been able to outfit this room. And it is, well, I'm telling you, the court staff comes by and say, okay, what do we have to do to be able to take our breaks here? This is so nice.
Right.
I say, sorry, it's just for the families.
But those judges, I believe part of that area that was given up was probably part that was dedicated to the judges. So for any of the court or the staff personnel to give up areas that were dedicated to them, it says something about their character that they're doing that to help the children.
folks who aren't involved in the system aren't going to be able to have the appreciation of what it takes to make that piece of the system work to the best interest of the children and the preservation of families. And to do that and do it with heart requires a tremendous amount of patience and caring and energy. And these folks in this court are just right at the top of the list. No question about it.
Right. Well, I know Judge Harlan's been there for a long time, very compassionate. Judge Hermanson, I think he's got many of those same qualities, looking at children. And he said when he ran for election, he wanted to do things a little bit different. So
he's proving that he has the feel for this. I just got back from a conference down in L.A. Put on by the judges, and I invited other folks because there was a whole range of workshops. But the point is, I talked to folks that I've worked with before in the judicial system, and now that I know that I'm here, they talk to me about their feelings about the judges in this county, and they are held in high regard throughout the state. We are just really.
Yeah, I attended a Rotary event, and one of the Rotarians was a judge, and he had high comments for judges in our county. Let's talk about the CASA program very quickly before our time runs out.
Well, the CASA program is set up to have volunteers work with these children who are in the court system.
What do the acronyms stand for, CASA?
The Court-Appointed Special Advocates.
Okay.
We are advocates working specifically with the children to make sure that their best interests are looked out for. And we train them and then with a court appointment, send them out and let them work with these kids. And so in our arena of wanting to work well with children and make sure that their needs are taken care of, working on this waiting room was a perfect fit. This is the kind of thing that helps make the children's experience most successful. And that's what we're all about. We have a training, since we're talking about it, we have a training class coming up in January for new volunteers, and if anybody is interested in learning more about the program, I'd love to talk to them.
Now, why don't you give your contact information, John?
How about 223-1485,
Okay.
the ATCA program, and ask for the CASA coordinator.
Or just call ATCA if you don't remember that, or call TSPN and you can get the
Ask
number.
for John.
You know, when you meet with those kids, got to be a tough situation because those kids most of the time are by themselves, correct?
A lot of them are, some of them are still living at home. Some of them have been moved out and are living with relatives, grandparents. A bunch of them are going to be in foster homes.
Yeah.
And we don't have the kinds of stories that you hear out of Sacramento and other places where kids are moving in the middle of the night with a garbage bag. But it's still grim, and it's still a lot of uncertainty. And when you're 7 years old and you don't know when you're going to be jerked out and moved to go someplace else, and why did this happen? What did I do wrong, and when do I get mommy back?
Right.
Well, it's a tough time.
Well, we're out of time, but I'm going to bring you back at the end to talk about that for a little bit. So, John, thank you very much for being here.
Thanks, Richard.
Okay.
Appreciate it.
All right, we're going to take a break and be right back with the supervisor's report.